Hello and welcome to another Israeli Frenemies here on ILTV, broadcasting from Tel Aviv. Good to be back here. Ari Fold, my usual partner in crime, is right now doing his reserve service. So replacing him on the right wing and right-hand corner is Davidi Ben Sion. He's the deputy mayor of the regional council of Samaria, right?
Right, it's my honor to be here. And I'm proud to be the deputy in this very important and big area of Israel. Shomron, it's 12% of all Israel state.
Right, but although it's 12% of the land of Israel, perhaps that you mean,
right?
It's
right.
outside
the Bible land.
The formal Israeli boundaries. It's what we refer to as the occupied territories.
We'll talk about it.
No, we can talk about it now. I see this. I appreciate your position, but Samaria, your regional council, is a settlement regional council, and we regard it as occupied territory. And the Israeli state, it's beyond the official boundaries of the Israeli state.
So actually, the truth, it's not like that you say, Uri. Even you have a nice smile, but the truth is that Shomron, Samaria, is part of Israel, and today live in Shomron 41,000 citizens, about 700,000 citizens in all Judea and Samaria.
No, not 700.
Yes,
you have
it is.
350,000.
No,
you're including Jerusalem.
Of course, part of Jerusalem.
But Jerusalem was annexed to Israel.
Yeah, but if you ask Abu Mazen or the
You're
Hamas,
right.
the answer is that even the part of Jerusalem, it's
but according to
the
Israeli
West
law,
Bank, Judea and Samaria.
But you were not annexed yet, right? You want this territory to be annexed, but it hasn't been annexed yet, right?
Right. Today we have 700,000 in the other side of the green line.
Okay.
And it's become to be million, and we always build, we always grow up. Baruch Hashem, thank God, and thank to the government. We're always building, and we pray that we will be million in next year.
Continue praying. I pray that there will be a salvation to Israel, and I think the settlements are a barrier to Israel's existence as a democratic Jewish homeland. But I guess we'll stay in a debate on this particular issue.
And I'm inviting you to visit in Shomron. I live in Alon Moreh. The first place that Abram was when he made these first steps in Israel, ויעבור אברהם בארץ עד אלון מורה, and I'm inviting you to visit in my home.
I visited several times the West Bank, both with the Jewish settlements there and the Palestinian communities there. Abraham, let's remind all of our viewers, also the father of the Arabs.
Right.
So but it's again, I think we won't come to a.
Yeah, but I must tell you that if Abraham was our patriarch, our daddy of all of us, actually, I must tell you with all the honesty that I want to live with them, and we can live together. We have the solution how to make it possible.
How?
Just to live. They want business. They want to get bread and cellar and money and clothes to their kids, to their children, and we can give them. We can help them with it.
Yeah, but what about citizenship and the right to vote?
You know that in my industrial zones, it's called Barkan. We pay the same money to the Palestinians.
Put aside money. But
you
what
ask me about
political rights? Political rights, the right to vote.
They can vote to their Palestinian territory. They have parliament.
It's not. They don't have a country. They don't have a citizenship. They don't have a state.
Right, but they have their parliament, and they can vote to the parliament.
They have
to the Palestinian parliament.
Municipal, it's like you're voting both to your municipality.
They have it,
but they don't have political rights. They don't have any political rights.
Yeah, they have their municipality.
What you say is equal to what was the situation in South Africa during the apartheid.
No, of course not. Of course,
that's what you're preaching for.
Okay, so
and the reason for our viewers to know is because if you give them the right to vote, a full right to vote, which is the democratic part, then you lose the Jewish majority in Israel.
But it's not the reality. In South Africa, they use different roads, different place, different houses.
It's not the same in
No,
Samaria?
not at all. I live there.
I think I should give you a tour there.
I know what the truth. In my road to my house, on the same road, you can see thousands of cars of the Palestinians, my neighbors from Nablus.
You say it's your road. It's the road that...
In our roads, okay? In my, because I'm the governor.
Okay. I suggest that because this wasn't planned, this debate, but your first time it's always refreshing to have this fundamental debate, and I suggest that we'll move towards the next topic of our show. So this week there was an escalation between Israel and Assad's Syria. Israeli Air Force planes had a regular photographic, how do I call it, flight to take photos over Lebanon, where you have a stronghold of the Hezbollah, which is an enemy of the state of Israel. And Assad Syria attacked those Israeli Air Force planes with anti-plane missiles. They missed. Israeli Air Force is very advanced technologically, and they didn't hit the planes. But after this assault, the Israeli airplanes attacked this missile rocket launcher and made it a point vis-a-vis Syria that Israel would not allow its airplanes to be attacked by Syria. David, I think, I don't know whether we'll, on the mere issue of attacking those who attack you, I don't think we'll have a debate.
Right.
I do think that Assad now feels more confident. He has the backing of Russia. He has the ISIS on the run, and they're losing their stronghold, and he feels more self-confident. I think, and therefore, and again, I think as Israelis, Israel has the right to defend itself. My point that might be a point of debate would be that I think that how come we came to this situation? You know, Netanyahu always said that he's the big fighter against Iran.
Yeah.
And, you know, he made, even, you know, a couple of weeks ago, he pushed Trump to be stronger on Iran and to cancel the nuclear agreement. And Trump actually adopted a very harsh rhetoric against Iran, although not doing anything, to be honest. But during Netanyahu's term, we have Iran on our border. The big Netanyahu, the strong Netanyahu who fights Iran under his, during his watch, you have Iran across our border getting stronger and stronger. And I think there's no other way but to say Netanyahu is to blame for the situation.
So first of all, unfortunately, you are right. And why so unfortunately? Because it's our security,
right,
and we need to live here, and we need to sleep well. And if we know that the Iran and ISIS will be on our board in Ramat HaGolan in Syria, I'm sure it will be very complicated to sleep. Even you live in Tel Aviv, it will be very dangerous. So unfortunately, right. And Prime Minister Netanyahu tried to make good war, diplomatic war, but even to use the army tool. And unfortunately, the last president of the United States, Barack Obama, helped the Iran to succeed, to develop their nuclear weapon. I think that today,
actually, Obama
we can change.
Stopped their.
No. It's very confused because you can think that he stopped the program, but actually, the way that Obama did it, I mean, the message that the Iran and even all the radical Muslims get from these stories that the Western world, the democratic world, have no army tool, have not the strong hand that can destroy this place. And I hope and I guess that President Trump changed this meaning, this way to use in this story. And the issue in Syria, it's the front of all this war. I mean, when we send, I mean IDF, Israel, send our planes to Syria, actually we are the front of all the Western democratic world against all the radical Islam, ISIS, Syria, and Iran. they're all the same. They have just different ways how they want to kill Jewish, to kill Europe, to kill Americans.
But really, Davidi,
It's just different ways.
right, but you talk about the nuclear agreement. I suggest that without a nuclear agreement, not only would we have Iran across our border, but we would have a nuclear Iran with the same situation where North Korea. So this week, Prime Minister Netanyahu declared that his coalition is going to put together an investigative committee to investigate the Israeli peace and human rights organizations for their funding from countries abroad. Let's start with you, and maybe I'll
Okay, first of all, I think that it's very important that our state will keep their abroad. I mean, we need to say what we know and what we want to make in our state. And today, some of the Europe countries try to change the situation in Israel with their money, and it's not a democratic way. If you want democratic state, we must keep this. To speak, we talk, you came from the left side of the political map, I came from the other side, and we can talk, we can understand one each other, and we don't need them. We don't need their tools, their money. They just want to change the democratic way. It's not our system.
Right, but there are several issues here. First, it's a method that Netanyahu is now using is a method that was used both by Putin, by Erdogan, in Iran, by the way, in Mubarak's Egypt, and also in Assisi's Egypt, not in the democratic world that you referred to before, of, delegitimize the organizations that work here for human rights by saying that they are foreign agents. Now, I used to work, a disclaimer, I was the director of B'Tselem USA, so I represented B'Tselem, a major human rights organization here in Israel, in the United States. I'm very proud of that. Now, this is a method of delegitimization of your political rivals. Second, the whole issue of transparency in the left side of the map is fully transparent. You have everybody knows where the money is coming from. It's all transparent. Some of it comes from European governments. By the way, European governments also fund human rights organizations in the United States and in Europe itself. It's they fund human rights.
Find it.
I'll show it to you. They even fund, for instance, organizations that work against the capital punishment in the United States. So it's not something unique to Israel. The only places that fight this funding are dictatorships that go against this funding. And by the way, Europe is investing in Israel, in science, in health, in many other ways. Europe is our biggest friend when it comes alongside the United States. So it's not an enemy state, okay? And third, and this is something that I'm very privy with because I founded the Front for Defense of Democracy, which investigates the non-transparent funding of the right-wing organizations. We know that most of the money that comes to the right-wing organizations, most of it doesn't come from Israel either, but it's not transparent. They don't tell you who are the donors. Nobody knows who are the donors of organizations like Im Tirtzu.
I understand your point.
And if you want an investigation, that's where you need to have the investigation.
First of all, I agree with your last point. All of us need to say who is the donor of us.
We have a scoop here. Okay. If you're with me, because we're going to promote such a law.
First of all, the other scoop is that you are the enemy of my soldiers. I mean, not you.
I'm an officer at the IDF.
Not you specifically. I appreciate you, but your organization, B'Tselem, that you are so proud that you were this director in the United States. This B'Tselem have acts against the soldier, my soldier in the IDF.
What do you mean?
I was
like
major. Just a minute. Hold on. Just a minute. Just a minute.
Due to video by B'Tselem, you know now. So who?
We talk about.
Because
I
B'Tselem
am
is
major in the
promoting.
paratroopers. I was major in the paratroopers, and I know that it's so complicated to be a soldier in Judea and Samaria,
Right.
in the West Bank. It's so
Right.
complicated.
Right.
And if I will look for someone to find small peanuts that he did, like that you make in B'Tselem, in Shalom Achshav, in
excuse me,
Din,
Elor Azaria
in
shot
Shot Watch.
point blank.
It's extremely story.
But that's a story of
extremely
B'Tselem.
story. No,
You
no.
should be
But it's
thankful to
extremely
B'Tselem.
story. I'm talking about the usual things that B'Tselem make against IDF, against Sal.
It's not against IDF, it's against the
If
Israeli
you're talking about,
policy.
just a minute. If you talk about human rights, I will be with you. I will be with you. I will stand with
Even
you.
with Palestinians?
With you. Even Palestinians, yes, against human rights. It's one of my holy and my education system in Shomron.
But you should know that because of your presence
it's
there,
to say that we need to keep the
have
human
so
rights.
many
Just a minute.
soldiers defending
But-
you
but
because
against
you
soldiers,
are colonizing a hostile area.
So let's make it different. Human rights, it's very good thing. Against my soldiers, it's to be enemy of this state. And if
An
some
enemy of the
states in
state?
against the soldiers, yes.
It's not against
yes,
the
we have
soldiers.
tools.
I'm a soldier and I worked for B'Tselem. I'm
Right.
not against the soldiers.
You was
I'm
soldier.
against.
You was soldier. And
I'm a
today
reserve
you're against the
officer.
soldiers.
I'm a reserve officer. I'm not
Right?
against the soldiers.
Yes.
I'm for the
If you
soldiers.
use your
I
tool
want to end
against
the
them,
occupation
no.
that exists there because of your presence there. Outside the
occupation-
Israeli state borders, as we mentioned before.
First of all, we have not occupation.
Oh, we don't have an
Again,
occupation.
No, it's not occupation.
You would
No.
not be able
I
to live there
no.
without the
They can
army
vote,
defending you.
They can vote. They can have a job. They have.
Will you be able
they
to
have
live there without the army
they have
defending you?
Industrial zones. They can make whatever they want, and they did it. So let's speak about my soldier.
This is condescending.
When
The
my
way you talk
soldier
about the
going to
Palestinians as if
Nablus,
they
look at
should
this.
be
Look at this.
thankful.
When my soldier walking,
You
walking
see,
to Nablus,
these are soldiers
they walking to
entering
Nablus because they need to
civilian
keep. Just a
homes.
minute. They need to keep to my line.
Because they want freedom.
And
they want freedom like we did all
But they
across
are
our
my
history.
brother. They are my brother, and I need to keep them.
Who are the Palestinians?
No, the soldiers, and I need to keep.
Right,
of
but they
them.
shouldn't be there. They're
And-
there because you
and you
insist
try
living in a
to-
place
to-
that is outside your country's boundaries.
You know that when we sit right now in Tel Aviv, someone sit right now in Jenin or Nablus to keep us, to save our life.
No, to save your lives.
And no,
If we would have had a border
yes,
with a
you think-
Palestinian
just a minute,
state,
is a dolphinarium?
we would
In a
have had-
dolphinarium, someone
because we occupy
someone
them and
goes-
they want freedom.
Yeah, but. Mazal Tov, today the government in Israel agreed to build a new settlement in Binyamin, in Judea and Samaria. The name is Amichai, and this place will be for the people that drove out from their home, Migron, before 1 year. Uri, I think it's a good day for us. What do you think?
It's another bad day. And before I'll get to the fact that you're building, that the Israeli government is building a new settlement, and I know that your regional council is actually saying that Netanyahu is not building enough, as if this is not enough. It's bad also for the citizens of Israel. You know, there's so much inequality in this country. So many people evacuated from their houses because of economical issues. You have so many things that are not being done right here. But when it comes to the settlers, this strong lobby that knows how to push politically Netanyahu, all of a sudden you find the money to build these new settlements that are only making Israel weaker and weaker and undermining the Zionist vision of a Jewish homeland and democracy. And it's a sad day for me. I think it's a sad day for Israel. And I think in order to really have here a strong Israel, you guys need to come back home, to come back to proper Israel, to stop this crazy enterprise that, you know, it's very impressive how much you are committed to it. Really, and that's why I have all the time good conversations with the settlers, because I appreciate your your devotion.
Ideologically.
But I think that the ideology is dangerous to the future of the state of Israel.
It's very interesting that we talk about ISIS, Iran, and Syria, and now we're talking about Migron, because I think that this is the answer and this is the solution, the real solution to this problem. You know that I was very surprised when European Union member and congressman from US came to visit in Shomron. I asked myself, why they need to be in my small regional council? And the answer is that they understand that we are the front base for the Western world.
I agree that that's what they think.
Against this, and we must be very strong in Shomron, Binyamin, and Judea, Samaria, Binyamin, and Judea. We must be very strong in the building. This is the one way to be strong.
But in order to be strong, you need to have a consensus. And you don't have a consensus today about what you do there. And I think what we discussed before, the way that Netanyahu and you guys, the settler movement, is trying to impose on us, I think that we regard as something that is actually making Israel commit suicide. I think that's extremely dangerous. I do not think that the settlements are the answer to terror. I'm not sure they're the reason to terror either. I won't say that. I think they're perhaps a reason to have more clash in an area where I need separation. But I do think that this enterprise, and you tried before at the beginning of the show to say
this is human rights. Because this is people that throw out from their home.
These are people
they lost their
who
home.
knew that they are, as you know very well, as you know yourself, you live there from an ideological motivation.
Right.
You moved there from an ideology. I don't know about you, maybe your family did.
Of course, yes.
So it's not something that is, like people that were evacuated. They were evacuated because this settlement was built on private Palestinian land that the Israeli Supreme Court said it should not be there. And that's why it was evacuated to build it.
But the government sent them to them.
The
government built this
My
place.
problem, I have an ideological debate with you. I have a strong opposition and protest against the government. By the way, all governments,
But
including...
who elected this government? The people in Israel. So this is the consensus.
By the way, if
this
you want,
is the consensus.
it's one way
if
to
you're
look
right,
at it.
it's not consensus.
It's one way to look at it. But if you take the Israeli parliament and even the coalition itself, you have their parties that are for a settlement with the Palestinians or for a Palestinian state. If you take Lieberman, if you take Kahlon, you have a strong majority to the two-state solution in the Israeli parliament. It's true that the prime minister
is
Netanyahu, and he's against it, but he didn't get 50% or 51% of the Israeli electorate.
He elected by
formed a coalition.
the most of the member in the Knesset.
But still, the Israeli majority is for a Palestinian state next to Israel and for evacuation of settlements. And it's
anyway,
not.
I'm sure that you're happy that these families will be in their home.
I think that they should be in their home in proper. So we're at the end of another Israeli Frenemies. Davidi, how did it go?
It was a pleasure and an honor to be here. And I'm proud to be here in Israel. And I'm proud to come back to Shomron, to Samaria. And Baruch Hashem, today we always grow up and we will grow up until we will be million people in Samaria.
Let's hope 1 more million people with Olim and everyone from, but in proper Israel. So it's great to have had you, and I hope we'll see you again in the future. Before we go, I want to say Mazel Tov, congratulations to a good friend of mine, the new elected Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern. I know her for over 10 years. She's only 37 years old, 5 years younger than I am. We're good friends, and she made it. She's the Prime Minister of New Zealand. I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of New Zealand, one of my favorite countries. I visited there after my military service, and I just love New Zealand, and I love Jacinda, and I wish her all the best. And that's here for Israeli Frenemies. Shalom from Tel Aviv. See you next week.